Hi, Leslie Garbis here with another tutorial as it applies to singing. So if you watched my last video, it was the predecessor to this video because we talked about posture and alignment for singing. So taking all of those beautiful things into account, let's talk about how the breath works for singers. So we've talked about the buoyancy of the liftedness of the rib cage and the very tall aspect of the spine and the lengthening of the neck and the relaxation therein with the head nice and floating and a good grounded stance with soft knees and a good pelvic position. All of this is helping us prepare for breath. So let's talk for a moment about how the breath works. Let's talk about the physics of the breath. Now, the diaphragm is a very large dome-shaped muscle, and it separates the upper thoracic cavity, the clavicular area, from the abdominal area. And in resting position, again, it's pretty large, and it rests around here. When we inhale, if we allow our abdominal muscles to relax and release, the diaphragm can then descend. And we want it to do that because it makes room. It makes space for the rib cage to expand. And of course the lungs are housed in the rib cage. And then so that's happening upon inhalation. Then upon exhalation, it slowly travels back up to its resting position. So inhalation is the preparation phase for singing. It's also considered the restorative phase of breath. Now, many times singers tend to go after their inhale and like really make it noisy and tight and high and chesty. And I'm here to tell you that that's not correct, and it is not going to support your best and freest and most open and supported and powerful singing. It's going to rather inhibit your range and your full freedom. Okay, so what I'd like for you to think about is that the inhalation process is easier and more passive than you could imagine. However, you need to be open to receive the air, and you need to create the space. So I want you to imagine your lower abdominals as being able to fully release and relax, and it feels like sort of a down and out sort of motion, where it releases. I like to call it Thanksgiving belly. I don't know if many of you enjoy Thanksgiving food like myself. I think many people do. Or think of your favorite food where all the flavors just go together and it's just delicious. And you just kind of want seconds and thirds. And you're like, oh my goodness, I need to unbutton my pants under the table to let my belly that is now very full just hang out. And I want you to think about letting your belly be that relaxed. And that's not always easy because a lot of us are used to holding our bellies really tightly because maybe we're not comfortable with the way we look. And some people hold tension in their bellies because that's where they hold tension. That's where perhaps emotional upsets are held. So this is a very therapeutic thing for you to do, is to learn how to let go of your beautiful belly. So by letting it go and relaxing down and out, letting those abdominal muscles relax, that allows the diaphragm to travel downward. And what we've done is we've just created a vacuum. We've just created a vacuum by creating space. And so physics tells us that nature itself doesn't like a vacuum. It likes to fill it. Like that's what it does. So when we create the vacuum, we've got the open throat, we've got that feeling of being an open tube, and we allow the air to drop in. Because we just let go of the abdominals, the diaphragm travels down and the air drops in like a vacuum. That's our inhalation process. And I like to think of it, or describe it rather, or both, as the air dropping in nice and low with that feeling of passive allowance and making space. I just filled up with so much air that I could sing pretty much anything you threw at me. So you'll notice that it's a rather silent inhale. It's rather quiet. And again, if I'm hearing a noisy inhale, I know it's high, and I know there's a lot of throat tension happening there and a lot of recruitment of musculature that doesn't need to be happening and that's going to squeeze and constrict the voice. Rather, we want to feel, again, we're an open tube. Everything stays open. And again, go back to that posture and alignment video to help you remember what things help set you up for success. The air drops in nice and low. So what is happening here is this is the preparation phase. This is the preparation phase for singing. And once you get this phase down, honestly, this will answer this will be the solution for so many problems when it comes to singing that you might be having. Once you understand what you need to release and how to create space and how to create a sufficient and efficient inhalation to prepare you to sing. When the air drops in, again, led by our abdominals releasing, but then it goes into filling up our lungs and our rib cage expands. So the intercostal muscles are getting worked out by us understanding how much more expansion we need in the rib cage as well. So I want you to think like an accordion, lateral expansion, but also a wraparound breath, as if you're wearing like an inner tube that you can fill up all around. And I want you to think of all of this action, almost all of this action, happening beneath the breast line. So it's this expansiveness and this dropped open feeling that allows us, and then we want to maintain that feeling of buoyancy and fullness and groundedness as we start to sing and release air. And that maintenance of feeling open and maintaining that feeling for as long as possible is part of where our support comes in. Instead of just filling up, and then as soon as we start singing, collapsing. So part of the maintenance and the openness is keeping that posture that we talked about in the last video. So that is the first part of the breath videos that I'm going to put together. Inhalation, preparation and restorative phase of breath for singing. Okay, lots to chew on. So let's leave it there for now. And the next one I will do will focus more on exhalation. Thank you.